at least on a Jeep, if you're not busting a few knuckles. Comment below if you've busted your knuckles wrenching on your Jeep. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I am excited to be changing out the stock bumper on this Jeep JK for a new MetalCloak crawler bumper. It's gonna be super beefy, 3/16 inch steel. It has a winch plate, so we're also gonna be putting a winch on here, as well as a vacuum pump relocation kit. So we'll actually be moving the vacuum pump, which for you JK owners, you know, it sits right in here, so it often interferes with winch installs. So we're gonna take that and actually mount it up into the engine bay. That should be super simple. I'm gonna take you step by step. First, we're going to remove the stock bumper. It's fairly simple. There are 4 bolts holding it on this side and on this side. Before we remove those though, it's important anytime you're doing electrical work or cutting wires or splicing wires on your Jeep or any vehicle for that matter, make sure you disconnect your battery. So I'm gonna do that now. First step in this process is removing the air dam you have right here. I actually did this last night because the plastic tabs, there's a couple of push tabs here and they were a bear to get off. Now, if you want to do yourself a favor, get some PB Blaster or WD-40, whatever you want, and the night before you do this install, go ahead and spray those frame mount bolts, and that's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to the install day. One thing you're gonna wanna make sure that you do early in this process is if you have fog lights in your OEM bumper, make sure that you reach back here and just unclip those. So there's one, and that's the other one. So just make sure that you unclip those early in the process. That way, when you pull the bumper off, you're not stressing your wiring harness. For the 4 bolts on each side of the frame, you're going to need an 18mm socket. I should say you'll need an 18mm socket and an extension. Woo! I was a little worried these were gonna be rusted, but, well, they were a little rusted, but that PB Blaster did the trick. I'm always a little nervous. I'm gonna break this ratchet here. I'm just gonna say, shout out to Tecton. I'm using a flex head ratchet here with a extension just so that I can get in there on those bolts. And for a minute, I thought I was gonna break this ratchet because I was putting so much weight on it, but I'm very impressed. This ratchet has continued to hold up against some serious abuse. So obviously not affiliated, but as far as, you know, an affordable ratchet and not a professional mechanic ratchet like a Snap-on or Mac tool, something like that, I have to say it's pretty impressive. Good quality. That's how you know you're doing a DIY project correctly, at least on a Jeep, if you're not busting a few knuckles. Comment below if you've busted your knuckles wrenching on your Jeep. We've taken off the OEM bumper. Now the next step in this process is going to be relocating the vacuum pump. To do that, we'll use a 10mm socket to pull out these 2 bolts. I will disconnect all of the hoses from the vacuum pump, and then we are going to relocate it up into the engine bay. We've got the bolts out, we'll unplug it, and go ahead and disconnect the variety of hoses that are coming off of it here. This is the kind of stuff that they don't show you on the regular install videos, but if you're doing an install like me on a Jeep that you've had for a while, you often run into problems like this. We had the vacuum hose was just so tight on there, and it's obviously been on there for 10 years, so I couldn't get it off. We don't need the full length of the hose anyway, so I cut it off, and now I'm just gonna sort of slice into it lengthwise, slowly, so that I can remove that from this short section here, which if you're doing this install, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'm just gonna use a razor blade, and again, being very careful. You don't wanna cut your fingers or anything. Always cut away from yourself. And I'm just gonna work that old hose off of here nice and slow. You know, we don't wanna rush things. There we go, look, there you go. MetalCloak provides a nice looking relocation bracket. So that uses stock hardware on the inside of your engine bay here. We're gonna take a 10mm socket, remove these 2 bolts, and mount that back up just like that. And be sure, as always, start your bolts by hand. I don't want to crank on these too tight, just snug. Now you'll notice as you work your way down down or up the vacuum tube, there's a couple spots where it's zip tied, and we're just gonna clip those so that we can pull the rest of that hose out of the way. And quick tip, if you go in through the side of your wheel well, it's a lot easier. So I got those extra clips disconnected, and we've got the rest of the vacuum hose up to here. So now all we need to do is disconnect that right here at this joint, and then I'm going to reroute this hose so that we can put it back into the vacuum pump. Again, you know, your engine bay may look a little bit different depending on what year, but it's the same idea. You're just going to remove this hose, or if you prefer, you know, you could cut this. That's probably what I'm gonna do, is just cut this to length and then reconnect it to the vacuum pump here. Okay, so we're gonna take the intake hose. That's the one that connects to this little guy. And I'm just gonna shorten this up so that it fits well in the engine bay. Nice clean cut. As you saw, we've mounted the vacuum pump back up. I have added the intake hose right here. We're gonna shorten that up. After I get everything set up, I'll figure out exactly where I wanna drop that in. Keep in mind, it's your engine bay, so it may look a little bit different, as I've said. And for us, I'm just gonna go ahead and run the vacuum hose back in a way that makes sense using the original hose. But of course, if you want to run a different route, you can do that. It's not rocket science. Run it how you want to. Use a few zip ties. Make sure everything's nice and organized, that you don't have a hose where it shouldn't be, and then reconnect it, and we should be done with the vacuum pump relocation. Now all I have to do is reroute the wiring for the plug to the vacuum pump. Now to do that, I'm gonna come down here and I'm going to cut off this end, this plug right here, and then I'm going to splice in some wiring so that I can reroute it with enough length to get up into the engine compartment. The wiring, at least on this Jeep, is 18 gauge. So I am actually going to be using some leftover 18 gauge wiring I have that is in a really nice weatherproof, high heat resistant tubing. I actually have some of this left over from some rock lights that I installed on my other Jeep. I'll use some butt connectors and some heat shrink to make sure I have a weatherproof connection where I splice these. But other than that, it should go pretty quick. Okay. I'm working on a 2016 Jeep JK, and we have a green and black wire. In our case, the green wire is the hot wire, the black wire is the ground. I would just double check whatever model you're running, make sure that you double check which is the hot wire, but it's the green wire on this one. As you saw, we went ahead and spliced the male end of that connector onto my new wiring harness. I used some heat shrink butt connectors there just to ensure a really nice weatherproof connection. And then I also wrapped that in electrical tapes just to keep it nice and clean. This is going to plug back into the vacuum pump female connector here. Before we do that though, I am going to route this wiring back down to the original wires down here and splice that together again using some heat shrink butt connectors, because that'll just make it nice and easy, and then we'll wrap it in electrical tape as well to make sure that we keep that connection weatherproof. Vacuum pump relocation, done. This Jeep had some fog lights OEM. We're not ready to install new lights yet, but I do want to retain these factory OEM fog light plugs. So in order to protect them from getting any dust or debris inside the plug, I'm actually just going to cut off a couple of fingers of this vinyl glove, latex glove, and slide that over there and use a couple zip ties to keep it tight. And that'll just keep any dust, water, debris, whatever from getting inside the plug. Now, MetalCloak instructs you to drill out the uppermost, the top left on the passenger side hole here, and then on the driver's side, your upper top right hole. We're gonna drill that out to a 9/16, and that's gonna allow us to, again, mount the bumper base here. I just finished drilling those holes out. I didn't film it because I didn't think you guys needed to see it, but I went ahead and painted the inside there just to prevent any rust. So just touched it up with some black paint. Next, we'll take the base plate and we'll put it on there. To hold the bumper base in place while we get the flange nut oriented and the hex bolts installed on the inside of the frame, I'm just going to use one of these Allen head bolts in the top corners of the bumper base to hold it in place temporarily. We're going to take the flange nut, slide it down into the inside of the frame here. So come in here, you'll see right where I'm going. And I'm just going to feel for that top hole. There we go. And actually, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on this just because. I'm going to go over to the other side, do the same thing. We'll remove these Allen bolts. Like I said before, these were really just to hold it in place while I was installing the interior bolts here. And we'll go ahead and once we get these out, we'll put the front bumper face back on. We have the base bumper plate installed. We've put the front fascia plate. Again, this is all 3/16 gauge steel, very sturdy. Now we're just gonna put what they're calling the crawler caps on the end here and bolt it all back up. So we've got the crawler caps installed. It's looking sleek. And now is this last extra skid that we're gonna add right here. I do wanna call this out, but there are 4 other bolt holes that secure the front bumper piece to the bumper base plate. And there's 2 here and 2 over here. So we're just gonna put the last of the Allen screws in there using these shorter guys. I need to call MetalCloak because I don't think we quite had enough, but I was able to use some from the skid plate hardware that they sent me for the slower skid plate piece. So make sure you count your hardware bolts before you start your install. Well, that's a wrap, guys. What do you think? I love it. It is a beefy, durable bumper. I can't wait to get it out on the trail. You'll see, obviously, the approach angles on this are far better. So we were having issues where with the OEM bumper, we were getting too much flex and the tire was actually rubbing into the end of the bumpers. So this crawler style bumper is going to be perfect for the trails. Now, obviously, it's got 2 recovery points on there. We threw some shackles in, so that's great. We will get the winch installed once we get the right winch in the mail, so watch for that video next. If you're going to tackle this project, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. This took me 8 hours to do today, so that includes the vacuum pump relocation into the engine bay, which did have some electrical work, and I had to move some vacuum hoses, so that took time. But then getting the OEM bumper off, plus aligning everything with the new bumper, it always takes longer than you think it's going to. And it's also gonna take a lot of patience, which I'll be honest, today I ran out of patience a couple times, but we got it done. And so if you take some breaks, expect to take the whole day, you'll get done with it. It looks great. I can't wait to get it out on the trail. I'm sure your Jeep is going to be looking awesome too, so have fun while you do it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Be safe out there, have fun, and as always, stay on the trails. We'll see you next time.